What's going on, guys? Today we're testing brake cleaner, specifically what cleans the best, what can sprays the longest, and what can is the best value out in the market right now. So these are the brands that we're going to be testing in this video. I've got the AutoZone house brand, the Max or Napa house brand, the Advanced Auto, WearEver, CarQuest house brand, whatever you want to call it, the SuperTech from Walmart, Pyroil, Lucas, and I have the CRC less than 45% volatile organic compounds. So these over here are all of my non-chlorinated brake cleaners. These four over here are my chlorinateds. So as far as the chlorinateds, I have the CRC Pro Series can, which is the larger can with the larger nozzle in chlorinated, the WearEver, CarQuest, Advanced Auto, chlorinated, Max Napa chlorinated, and finally the standard can CRC chlorinated. As far as the brands that I have here, these are all the stuff that was available local to me. So I tried, obviously, AutoZone, Napa, Advanced Auto Parts. I also tried O'Reilly's. I tried 2 different O'Reilly stores and none of them had the O'Reilly's house brand brake clean. So it is what it is. Couple other notes here is the CRC. CRC literally sells, I'm not even joking, like 10 different versions of brake clean. These are the ones that I had available local to me, so these are the ones that I'm testing. So as far as how I'm gonna do my testing here, guys, what I did was I created what I'm just gonna call dirt for the sake of conversation, because it's real easy to just call it dirt. What it actually is used motor oil, used transmission fluid, used gear oil, used brake fluid, used power steering fluid, anti-seize, and about 20 or 30 pumps of Lucas red and tacky grease. So this is literally every single fluid that you're gonna find in a car, all mixed together, and I added a bunch of grease to give it some thickness. So it's about the consistency of wet paint, as you guys can see. And how I'm gonna go about doing my testing is what I'm gonna do is I've got a piece of steel about this big, and I'm gonna cover that whole piece of steel with this dirt, okay? Then what I'm gonna do, after the panel's covered in dirt, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna weigh it. So I'm gonna get a weight before and after I clean it. As far as how I'm going to clean it, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take each can and spray it. I'm gonna spray it for 5 seconds, and I'm gonna go as far down on that panel as I can in 5 seconds. So I'm gonna start at the top, work my way to the bottom. However far I get in 5 seconds, that's what I'm gonna weigh. Next thing I'm gonna give you guys is how quick it evaporates. So once I stop spraying and the product is just sitting there, how long does it take for it to evaporate? So naturally, evaporation is going to depend on how hot it is outside, what the humidity level is. Just for point of reference, it's like 80 or 90% humidity, and it was between 73 and 75 degrees when I ran this test. So the next thing we're going to test here, guys, is going to be spray time. So literally what I'm going to do to measure spray time is literally just take the can and just spray it until it's empty and time it. What that's going to do is that's going to tell us a couple things. Obviously, first of all, how long the can is going to last. But this next thing it's going to tell us is, like this Pro Series can from a CRC that's nearly 2 pounds, is it that much longer than the standard can? Because the Pro Series can has a much larger nozzle on it. So it has a much larger stream out of the can compared to something like this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you guys cost per second in spray time, as well as how long each can lasts. So with that, let's get to the results. So as far as how I'm doing my rankings, we're gonna separate them into 2 separate categories. First of all, it's gonna be non-chlorinated and then chlorinated. So one other thing to note here, guys, is as far as my spray testing, there's gonna be some human error in my spray testing. There's no way around that. But when you guys use this product, there's gonna be some human error in there as well. So I use the product just like you guys would. I tried as best I could to spray the panel for exactly 5 seconds, but I'll put a timestamp down in the corner on the spray, the exact spray time, because I counted frame by frame to know exactly how long each panel was sprayed. So coming in 7th place, or dead last, is gonna be the Max Non-Chlorinated Brake Clean from Napa. On my panel spray, I had a 1 gram reduction from before and after. The evaporation time on this product was super quick. So it evaporated in about a second. So basically, as soon as you let go of the trigger, it evaporates, it's gone. It doesn't really stay on the surface and continue working. The other thing that I really didn't care for about this product was the spray stream. The spray stream on this can is sort of like a mist. It's not like a traditional jet that you normally get out of brake clean. It was almost like sort of like a paint can, how when you use spray paint, how it kind of mists out. This was kind of similar to that, and I think that kind of played into its lack of cleaning ability, and ultimately, the formulation, in my opinion, really isn't all that great either. The last thing, the price on this stuff. 1 can of this over the counter at Napa is $5.29. The total can spray time on this particular can was about 85 seconds. So you divide out $5.29 divided by 85, and that gives you 6.2 cents per second to spray this can. Way too expensive for the cleaning ability. So in 6th place is gonna be Pyroil. I'm about 99% sure that the Pyroil product is the Max brand Napa non-chlorinated. It's just the same stuff with a different label on the can. It performed very similar as far as the amount of dirt removed and the evaporation time. They were basically identical on both cans. The spray was identical, in my opinion, not all that great. The one thing that did vary was the spray time on the can. This one was 62 seconds. One thing, if you guys will notice, there's still some brake clean left in the can. I actually ran out of propellant, not necessarily ran out of brake clean. Also, while I was spraying it, it was kind of leaking up here around the the sprayer up here at the top. So I don't know if that kind of played into some of the difference I got in spray time. So cost on this can was $2.99 a can. If you do the math on the spray time, that gives you a cost of about 4.6 cents per can to spray Pyroil for essentially, in my eyes, the exact same product as the Max. It's just a lot cheaper. So in 5th place is gonna be the CRC less than 45% VOC. Like I said, this is what I had available local to me, and CRC makes literally like 10 different versions of brake clean. As far as performance, I got a 1 gram reduction on my plate over about 5.5 seconds on my spray time. The evaporation rate on this stuff was about 23 seconds. The cost on this can was $4.99 a can, and if you do the math on the cost per second, it's about 8.1 cents per second to spray this can. Overall, I mean, it's not a bad product, but to me, the cost is a little high for the performance that you get, and the performance of the jet nozzle that this thing has on it is pretty average. So in my opinion, there's better stuff out there from CRC as far as brake clean. Like I said, this is what I had available around me. So in 4th place is gonna be Lucas. The Lucas non-chlorinated brake clean also had a 1 gram reduction over about 4.5 seconds on the dirt panel. So the evaporation time on the Lucas was a little low at 14 seconds, but the total can spray time was actually pretty high at 72 seconds. My biggest issue with this product is gonna be the price. So this stuff is $6.99 a can. It's by far the most expensive out of any non-chlorinated brake cleaner that I tested. So naturally, when you do the math on the cost per second, it's 9.7 cents per second to spray this Lucas product, which compared to some of the other stuff that's coming up is absolutely outrageous. What's good about the Lucas is a couple things. I think it actually performed better than what some of the numbers indicate. That and the jet stream coming out of this nozzle was, in my opinion, by far the strongest of any non-chlorinated brake clean that I tested. The jet on this can is fantastic. If the cost was a little bit more reasonable, it would have placed much higher. So in 3rd place, some of you will get this reference. Yes, this is the Advanced Auto CarQuest WearEver non-chlorinated brake cleaner. This stuff had a 2-gram dirt removal on the spray test. The evaporation time on it is 26 seconds, so it does a good job of actually, staying on the surface and kind of working for long periods of time. The total can spray time on this can was about 65 seconds. The cost of this can was $4.79. So if you do the math on that, that comes out to 7.4 cents per second to spray this brake clean. Good stuff, decent performance, but there's stuff coming up that performs just as well for a lot cheaper. So in second place is going to be the AutoZone non-chlorinated brake clean. This stuff did a lot better than what I anticipated. As far as performance, I had a 4-gram reduction on my panel spray, although my time on it was a little trigger happy at 5.8 seconds. So I was pretty close to spraying it for a full second longer than what I should have. So, kind of take that for what it is as far as the dirt removal performance. So the evaporation time on this stuff was 28 seconds. The total can spray time was 85 seconds. It lasted a long period of time. The biggest pro to the AutoZone brake clean, in my opinion, is going to be the cost. So this stuff is $2.99 a can. And if you do the math on the cost per second of spray time on this can, it's about 3.5 cents per second to spray this can. Super cheap, especially when you compare it with something like Lucas, where the Lucas was close to 10 cents a second to spray brake clean. And really, for the performance, in my opinion, this stuff actually performed better. So take that for what it is, guys. Just because you pay more for something doesn't mean it's always better. So in first place for non-chlorinated brake clean, I may take a little bit of heat for this, but it's gonna be Walmart SuperTech. I was thoroughly impressed by this stuff. I had a 2-gram reduction over about 5.5 second spray on my panel. The evaporation time on it was about 23 seconds and the total can spray time was 70 seconds. It's $1.97 a can, and if you guys do the math on this, it's 2.8 cents per second to spray this brake clean. So as you can see, it's the cheapest in the test, and really for the money, it performed better than a lot of the stuff out on the market, which I was not expecting at all. I was fully intending on this stuff being junk. Like I said with the last bottle, I guess it just goes to show you that you don't always get what you pay for. So I realize I threw a bunch of information at you guys in a short period of time. So what I have here is I've got a couple charts kind of breaking down, some of what I just told you. So on this chart here in blue, we have the cost per can. And then in green, I have the amount of dirt removed with each product. The only thing I will say is I think AutoZone I got a little bit trigger happy with. That's why the amount removed is a little bit higher than some of the other stuff out there. So taking a look at this next chart here, this is cost per second of spray time. So when you're holding that trigger, how much is that costing you per second with each product? So like I said, I threw all this information at you at one time, so I want to give you guys a chart just so you could have a another point of reference and a visual representation as to what the heck I was talking about. So the next set of products we're going to do is going to be the chlorinated brake cleans. So bringing up the rear of the pack in fourth place is going to be the Advanced Auto WearEver chlorinated brake clean. I had a 4-gram reduction on my panel, but I got a little trigger happy. So I sprayed it for about 6.5 seconds, which is, a second and a half longer than really what I should have. One thing you will find with these chlorinated brake cleaners is the evaporation time on them is much slower on all of them, regardless of brand. So this one was 1 minute and 32 seconds before it actually evaporated. One of the big disappointments to me on this can was a total can spray time. It's only about 39 seconds. So the cans don't last very long, and you couple that with the price of $4.79 a can, which is actually the same price as the non-chlorinated version locally to me. But if you do the math on that, that costs you 12 cents a second to spray this chlorinated brake clean. So it's kind of outrageous for the performance. So in third place for chlorinated brake clean, it's going to be the CRC Pro Series. Now, the only difference between this can and the standard can is obviously the size and the nozzle size on it. As far as performance, I had a 3 gram reduction over 5.5 seconds. The evaporation time on it, again, was 1 minute and 32 seconds, just like the Advanced Auto Brake Clean. So the biggest downside to me on these Pro Series cans are they really don't last any longer than the standard cans, because the nozzle size in this can is absolutely giant. So the stream that comes out of this can is absolutely massive. So because of that, this can, which is nearly 2 pounds, only lasts 50 seconds. My main issue with this product is the price. So it's $6.99 a can locally, and my thing is, if you take that $6.99 divided by 50, and that gives you your cost per second, well, it costs you 13.9 cents per second to spray this stuff. It is by far the most expensive stuff in the test, and really, I didn't feel as though the performance really justified the price, because like I said, the amount of product that comes out of this nozzle, in my opinion, for most applications, is complete overkill. So in second place for chlorinated brake clean is going to be the Max brand chlorinated brake clean. So as far as performance with this stuff, I had a 2 gram reduction over about 5.5 seconds with it. The evaporation rate on this product was 1 minute and 15 seconds. The total can spray time on this product was 51 seconds. So this can actually lasted a second longer than the CRC Pro Series, just to give you an idea of how much product that CRC can puts out. The cost on this stuff, believe it or not, is actually cheaper than the non-chlorinated brake clean in my area. It's $4.49 a can, and if you do the math on that, it comes out to 8.8 cents per second to spray this brake clean, which it's about the same price really as the the non-chlorinated Max brake clean, only this stuff works a heck of a lot better. This stuff really performed about as good as anything in the test as far as the chlorinated brake cleans, but yeah, there's one coming up that it's kind of expected. So in first place for chlorinated brake clean, it should come as no surprise, CRC original chlorinated brake clean. As far as performance with this stuff, I had a 2 gram reduction on a 4.8 second spray on the panel. The evaporation rate on it was about 1 minute and 15 seconds, and the total can spray time was about 72 seconds. By far, out of all the chlorinated brake cleans that I tested, this one lasted the longest, and realistically, the cleaning power, in my opinion, was just as good as anything else out there. The main reason I gave the win to the original CRC is going to be the price. This stuff is $4.99 a can locally, and if you do the math on the spray time, it comes out to 6.9 cents per second of spray time, which is by far, the cheapest out of the chlorinated brake cleans. As far as performance, guys, I didn't feel as though there was a massive improvement from one can to the next as far as the chlorinated brake cleans were concerned. So that's kind of why I ranked them the way I did. And realistically, when it comes to chlorinated brake clean, guys, buy what's available and buy whatever's cheapest, because as far as performance, they're all pretty similar in my opinion. So real quick before the end of the video, I got a couple more charts here just so you guys can make heads and tails of some of the stuff that I was talking about. On this chart on the screen, blue is the amount of dirt removed, and then green is the cost per can. So one thing I will say about the Advanced Auto chlorinated brake clean, as far as the dirt removed, I was trigger happy on that one. That's why it did as well as it did. So this next chart is, again, it's going to be cost per second of spray time for each can. So obviously, as you guys can see, the CRC original is by far the cheapest of the 4 chlorinateds that I tested. The only way that I would buy that Pro Series can is really just to massage your ego and say you have the biggest can of brake clean in the shop. Other than that, in my opinion, not really worth it, especially when you start breaking down the cost on it. Guys, as always, I'll have links in the description to the brake clean I had in this video if you guys want to buy some. Again, completely up to you. But yeah, if you guys like the video, hit like. You want to see more content, go down and hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys.